All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another investor briefing for Georgia. We got a Super Tuesday auction coming up on June 5th, 2018. That's a Tuesday, of course. That's why we call it Super Tuesday. And we're going to talk about what's happening at this month's auction. We're recording this on 5/29, 7 days out before the auction. So it gives you some time to watch this and do your due diligence before auction day. But it looks like it's going to be a big auction in Georgia again. These numbers just keep coming through every single month. The foreclosure sales, pretty massive. Let's talk about it. I got Kimberly Dooley on the phone with us from Georgia, our auction specialist. She's been out there at these sales for years. Say hello, Kimberly.
Hello, everyone.
All right, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about what happens out on the courthouse steps, because she's the pro. She's been there more than anyone. So let's look at the summary of the sale here first. 159 counties in Georgia. I always I'm amazed by that number. That's like double the amount that we have here in California. But we're going to have auctions in 116 of these counties that have properties currently scheduled. And the key word is currently. You see a little asterisk there, scheduled for sale. 1,045 properties. Now we're about 7 days out, and a number of these will cancel, which means the foreclosure is not going to have all the paperwork ready for it, so they're going to cancel it and do it in another month, or there's going to be a short sale, it's going to get canceled permanently, or a loan modification, or a deed in lieu of foreclosure will happen. So not all of these properties that are scheduled for the foreclosure sale on Tuesday actually happen, and so that's why you have to be following a number of properties, so that if you have 10 or 20 you're thinking about in a certain county, when you get there and 4 or 5 of those don't show up anymore, you have a few properties you can bid on and participate in the sale for. So 1,045 currently. I estimate that'll get down to about 550, 600 by auction day. In addition, we have 327 properties in our online auctions. Those are primarily bank-owned properties, those 327, which means that they went out to the courthouse steps, did not sell to an investor, ended up reverting to the beneficiary or selling to the bank, and the bank has that property in its inventory and it's selling it online at auction.com. So the 1,045 we're talking about today, you have to go out to the courthouse steps. You have to bring your cash with you so you can bid on those properties. And the 327, those are in online auctions where you can use a credit card to do a small deposit and bid online without having to go anywhere except in front of your computer or your phone. So 1,045 schedule, probably 550 to 600 going to make it out to the courthouse steps. And Kimberly Dooley that we have on, who is our auction manager for Georgia, she's going to be out on those courthouse steps. And this is what it looks like. Kimberly, give us some tips and tricks on what happens out on the courthouse steps. You can actually see some stairs over here. Those are the steps to the courthouse where these sales are conducted.
And it looks like that might be our Clayton County location. So once they arrive on auction day, the bidders have already done their due diligence on any properties that they're interested in. Once they arrive on site, they're going to register with our staff, which takes about 60 seconds. They'll obtain their bidder number and their property list, so they know approximately when their property is going to be going up for auction. And then they're just waiting for their property to be called at that time. They'll bid. And then if they are the winning bidder, then they will surrender their funds and they'll have their contract written at that time on site.
So one of the key things I just heard there was registration. Auction.com actually has a pretty cool software. What's it called?
Auction Sync.
Auction Sync, that's right. And we're out there on the courthouse steps registering people with iPads, and you only have to do that one time, right? And then the next time you come, your information's all in there. You just get a number, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
The other interesting thing I heard, and we like to reiterate this, is that you have to surrender your funds, which means if you bid $100,000 on a house in Atlanta, you got to pay $100,000 right then. So Kimberly's going to be out there taking your cashier's checks for $100,000 and giving you a receipt, basically, that shows that you paid those funds, but you have to bring the funds with you. Now, if you don't have those funds, you can't bid. And so going through the registration process, Kimberly's team is going to do the registration, and you're going to have to show those funds. How many people typically show up at in Clayton or in Gwinnett or Cobb County or one of those?
Gwinnett's probably the largest. We have anywhere from, I'd say, 75 to 100 people. Clayton's probably closer to 50 to 75, I'd say.
And then some of those smaller counties, we mentioned that there's 116 counties that currently have properties for sale. Like what happens down in like Coffee County or in Charlton County? How many people show up to some of those?
You might only see one person there.
So, what we're going to be talking about when we look at the heat map in a few slides here, here's another county steps where we're actually standing on the steps doing the sale, is that when you go out to some of these counties, there really isn't a lot of competition, but there's still homes for sale. So the next slide we're going to get to shows our heat map, and we'll show you where those properties are. But a county that has 5 or 6 properties, 3 or 4 properties, there's going to be 2 to 6 properties at one of those counties, and maybe one person there looking at 1 or 2 properties. There's not a lot of competition. The bigger markets have way more properties, and so there's a lot more money on those courthouse steps, but the dynamics are different so much from county to county. Any other tips you got for people?
Just especially in the summertime, just make sure that you're keeping the weather in mind, because you are going to be outside the entire time. So, make sure you're dressing appropriately and bring something to drink. It does get hot out there, and it can be a really long day for some of those larger counties.
That's a great tip. It is a long day. It takes a number of hours to conduct these sales. We're talking to attorney firms across the state who are clearing properties for sale, who are telling us that properties are postponed, and you might be standing there a couple hours waiting for a property to come up just to find out, hey, it's not going to happen today. So be prepared to be out in the sun. It might be raining, it might be hot, it might be sunny, but dress appropriately and make sure you bring those funds with you, of course. And look for the people in the green shirts. This guy's wearing a black jacket, but underneath that jacket, there is a green shirt. And that's where we're going to be set up. A number of counties, we have these tents, and some of them we're just standing there with a clipboard and a whiteboard or a small table. So feel free to walk up to the auction.com team. Kimberly's team these guys are battle trained. They've done this so many times. They know exactly what's going on at the sale, and they're happy to help. At the end of this webinar, we're going to talk about a lunch and learn that Kimberly's hosting as well. So without further ado, let's jump into the heat map. This is my favorite part that shows where all the properties are. And, we usually don't see any of this dark green down here in the Savannah area in Chatham County, but I noticed that it's been jumping up to the top of the charts, and I think this is due to the hurricanes that happened late last year and the properties, being backed up. Basically, there was a moratorium on foreclosures across a number of these counties, and when you look at at Chatham County and then Liberty County and Glenn, you got Glenn with 15 properties. You got Liberty with 16 properties. You have Chatham with 54 properties. I think this is a backup from that moratorium from when the hurricanes came through. And we're starting to see those properties really come to sale, because Chatham County is usually down in the middle here, middle to the bottom, when we're looking at our top 25 counties. And we see all of the weight really in the Atlanta area. But we're starting to see some of that, moving over to the east here. Still, Atlanta is the category killer in this Atlanta metro, where when you look at these, 17 to 20 counties, in our top 25, we're looking at 595 of those counties. When you look at Fulton, DeKalb, Gwinnett, Clayton, Cobb, Henry, Douglas, Cherokee, Paulding, Rockdale, Hall, Coweta, Newton, Barrow, Fayette, Carroll, Forsyth, that all these counties, come up to about 57% of what's in the auction. And there'll be some of these smaller counties around here as well, when you get to some of these tertiary counties around the Atlanta area, like Butts County. We're going to see a property that sold in Butts County, which is about an hour drive from the city center, that sold last month when we look at a few of the examples that sold in the month of April. But we still see, Columbus area, Muskogee County, how we got there? We got 39 properties, it looks like, 39. In Richmond County, where Augusta is, we have 28 counties over here, or 28 properties in that county. And then we talked about Chatham, obviously. But can't forget Macon area. Bibb County is 17, and Houston County, I think the county seat is called Perry or something like that. But it's where Warner Robins is, 19 properties here. So between the two of those, 38, right in the center of the state. And, we talked about some of these smaller counties where there might be, 0, 1, 2 people that show up, Pierce County, Wayne County, Coffee County, Grady, Decatur, Upson, Crawford, Dooley County. these counties might not have a lot of properties in them, but they do have a couple of properties going to sale and not a lot of competition. So, you might think about this giant, 600 properties basically in the Atlanta metro area, taking up a cool 57% of the entire state. But that means the other 43% are in your, Columbuses and your Macons and your Warner Robins and your Augustas and your Savannahs and, these other smaller counties, less populated counties, but we're seeing some decent numbers in Glynn and Camden County and Liberty County. So it really is, spread out a little more across the state than we've seen in past years anyways, where it's really been even more weighted at the 75% number in your Atlanta metro area. So it's going to be a big sale. 1,045 properties, 600 Atlanta metro area, but some big numbers along the coast and in some of the other population areas of Columbus and Augusta and Macon and Warner Robins. So it looks like a really well spread out auction this month and a lot of opportunity. So again, Fulton, DeKalb, Gwinnett, these are always in the 80 to 100, sometimes 110 in these 3 different counties each. And so the numbers are a little bit lower, but not a lot lower. Fulton, it's not odd to see it at 95, 96 properties versus 100 or 110. It's just going to fluctuate that way. And we're going to continue to see some big numbers coming to these counties. But again, this is a week out, so that 96 is going to turn into 66, and this 93 is going to turn into 63, and this 88 is going to turn into 56 or whatever it is. But that's still a lot of properties going to sale. And when you come out to these big markets, towards the end of the day, a lot of people are out of money. So we're selling big percentages of these properties that go to sale. So when you have 50 or 60 properties, we're selling 40, 45, 48 of them. The other ones are going back to the bank. There's got to be a lot of money out on those courthouse steps to absorb that kind of traffic, especially when these are the higher price properties in the state as well. So I think there's going to be great opportunity everywhere across the state, whether you're in Sumter County or in Fannin County or in Burke County or in one of the big, population centers in the state. So looking good for this Tuesday, June 5th, to see a big sale in Atlanta. Now let's see some of the properties that sold in April. We like to look at a couple properties and just say, hey, let's look at a couple examples. I mentioned Butts County, about an hour southeast of the city center of Atlanta. This is in Jackson, Georgia. Winning bid $244,000. This is probably a 5-bedroom house, I'm guessing, right? Estimate of value is $325,000. That house is ready to go. Look how nice that is. Someone probably made $75,000 on that house day one. Conyers, Georgia, and Rockdale and DeKalb County, both in the Atlanta area. Conyers, Georgia, and Tucker, Georgia, $98,000. Estimate of value $202,000. That's probably another 5-bedroom house. Look at that thing. That might be a 2-car garage now with some fake windows. So maybe it's a 4-bedroom house. This one's winning bid $180 with an estimate of value $250. You see a theme here. People are getting gross profits of $70, $100. $75,000. There's big money to be made out on the courthouse steps. And the more important thing is that these are foreclosed houses that aren't a positive thing in a neighborhood. And when an investor goes and buys it and turns that, I like to say, turning a foreclosed house back into a home, they're putting on the market, flipping it, making some money, but that money stays locally. It's a local investor that's buying a local house and hiring local contractors and buying stuff at the local Home Depot or Lowe's or Home Supply Warehouse. And so all that money that's going into the house and coming out of the house is staying in the marketplace. And that foreclosed house really is turning into a home. When it flips to another buyer or it rents out to a family that moves into it, it's always a positive thing. So, how are you going to get out there and participate in these sales? Well, you got to have the cash. You got to figure out how to leverage that money or partner with people or get money from the family or from different investors, pull your money together and put it into an LLC. To go and buy these houses. But once you buy one or two, you got some cash flow going, you got that business started. So, looking at these examples, I'm always amazed when I look at the Georgia sales and just the gorgeous houses that are available in Georgia at these foreclosure sales. It's only one day a month, so you got plenty of time to plan to do it this month or to do it next month. So when you want to find out what's happening in these sales, I mentioned a lot of properties get canceled or they get postponed to a future month, you have to start tracking a lot of different homes and doing your due diligence on 5, 10, 15 different homes. So when you get to the sale, properties will clear for sale. And when I say that, let's talk about cleared for auction by property. So when you're looking on auction.com and you find a property like this one on Absinthe Drive in College Park, you go to the property page. It's on auction.com. You create your free account. Everything auction.com is free, except for buying the houses. You got to pay for the houses. But when you click on that property on auction.com, there's going to be a little star button, and you can save that property. And when you save a property, you're going to automatically get updates to that property. Like this update says the lender's max bid is now available. So a lot of people don't realize this, but the bank is also bidding on a house, right? So they might have a loan for $200,000, and they're saying, look, we'll take whatever their formula was to come up with this $137,325.31. That's what we'll take. That's what the bank is going to bid on this house. If someone bids more than that, they can have it. But if we don't get at least that much on our bad loan, we're going to take it back and we'll put it on the market and try and get as much money back for it as possible. Because that's what a bank's trying to do. They're trying to maximize their recovery on a bad loan. They know they're going to lose money. They're just trying to lose as little as possible, just like any smart business would do. And you have to think, what's the bank going to be doing on this property? Because you're competing with investors and with the bank as well. They're bidding to protect their loan on the property, and you're bidding to buy the house. Right? So you want to get it as little as possible, and they're trying to get as much as possible to lose as little as possible. So when you save that property, we have a notification. When we know what it is, if we know that the bank's going to bid $137,325.31, we're going to let you know that. So you've been tracking it, and maybe you're like, I'll bid 125, and then you find this out, you're like, I got to redo my numbers, right? I got to see, is it worth another $12,325? I don't know. Let's crunch some numbers. And if you think it is, then you can come out and bid $137,325.32 and buy that house. So it's great information to have, and all you have to do is click the star on the properties you're interested in, and we'll send you notifications like this one and like this one, like when it's cleared for auction. So this usually doesn't happen until auction day or sometimes the afternoon before, but it's rare. It's usually on auction morning that we find out that a property is cleared for sale. And that means the bank's done all their paperwork. They've given us what their bid's going to be. They're ready to take that property to sale and figure out if it gets to a certain number, someone else can take the house, we'll take the money. But if it doesn't, we're going to own that house. And so in this instance, it looks like they lowered their bid by $5,000. So now it's $132,000, right? And this auction starts at 10 a.m. This email might have come at like 8 a.m. or 8:15. But the key is if you click that star on auction.com, you're saving it. As soon as we know, within 60 seconds, you'll know. So we mark it as cleared for sale in our software. And Kimberly was talking about Auction Sync, the software we use to run the sale at the auction, something only auction.com has. We're the only people that know this information and can get it to you, the clearance. So the attorney firm tells us, we put in the system, an email comes straight out to you that says cleared for auction. And then even after the auction happens, when we enter in the system, like this property did sell to an investor, completed, sold to a third party, didn't revert to beneficiary. That's when it goes back to the bank. This one sold for $157,000. So there was obviously a couple bidders at the sale that said, we're going to bid competitively. It bid up to 157, and if you were only bidding 135, you wouldn't have got this property, but it sold for 157. We let you know what it sold for. If it reverted to the beneficiary, we'd tell you that too, but there wouldn't be a sold for price because it didn't technically sell. It reverted to the beneficiary against their loan, right? And so there wouldn't be a number tied to that. But just by clicking that little star, you would have gotten what the lender's max bid is. If and when we know it, sometimes we don't get it until they call us at the sale, that it did clear for sale, and you'll know that within the second, whether it's at 8 a.m. or during the sale at 10:30 while you're standing there, you're checking your email, you got a little email that says, hey, it's cleared for sale. This property might be next. And then after the sale, you get the clearance. So these are great notifications that no one else is going to give you. Like they don't have the information, number one, and then they don't have the ability to send it out to people. So because you can't send out something you don't have. But these are a couple of the notifications you get. You can also track an entire county, right? And so this is like before that was just one house, right? So let's say you're looking at 5 houses, you might just want that. But if you're going out to Fulton County, Georgia, or Gwinnett County, or Butts County, like we saw that house, you can go into your profile on auction.com in your free account, go to, cleared for sale notifications, and you click the state for Atlanta, and then you click which counties you want to track. And these are emails you'd only get on Super Tuesday. So they start at like 8 a.m. the day of the sale. This one came at 9:15, and every 15 minutes we send you an update that shows you how many properties have cleared for sale. So at 9:15, between 9 o'clock and 9:15, these 7 properties cleared for sale, meaning they're going to be sold after 10 a.m. So I think in Georgia, it's a 3-hour sale from 10 to 1, if I'm correct. Kimberly, feel free to interrupt and correct me because I might be wrong on that. It might be an all-day sale.
Yeah, it's all-day sale. We have as late as 4 o'clock.
Okay, so it can go to as late as 4 o'clock. So there's a 6-hour window where these properties can be sold. So at 9:15, 9 to 9:15, we had 7 properties, and total there's 12. So there's 5 that cleared before 9:15 that you would have known as well. So just having this information, you could be doing last minute research. You could be driving by these properties. You haven't even got to the sale yet. It's 9:15. Like, I'm going to drive by St. Andrews Court and look at this, condo and see if it looks like it's in good shape. So having this kind of information is just great arbitrage that a lot of people don't sign up for it. I don't know why they don't, but they just don't. And the people that do, they just have much better information than other people at the sale. And you'll get a number of these emails. You get one at 8 and 8:15, 8:30, 8:45. You could get 10 or 15 of these emails during the day for one county, right? But it's only one day a month. And if you're an investor out there tracking that county, you're going to want this information because those are the properties they're going to sell with the auction.com team on that day. And knowing that information is paramount to success. So I highly recommend it. This is also a patented thing that we have with the U.S. Patent Office, and no one else can do this. And it's all free for investors and even people that are just tracking the sales that aren't investing yet. So you can see that there's 53 properties still pending clearance at 9:15. So by this day, later in the day, there's definitely going to be 40, 50 properties in Fulton County that'll clear. You'll have all the information in here. You click here, it'll take you right to auction.com. You can look at photos and due diligence information. You click here, it'll take you to Google Maps so you can look at the street view and look and see what the neighbors' properties look like, those type of things. So another great data service from auction.com that no one else provides. And we mentioned auction.com concierge. I'm going to pass it to Kimberly to talk about this event. This is her event. She's been doing this every month for years now. And these are great educational events. Take it away, Kimberly.
Thanks, Michael. Yes, we're going to be out in Fulton County on Super Tuesday, and it's going to be at in an office space called Post Office Co-work. It's actually on the same street as the auction. We're going to start at 11:30. It goes until about 1 o'clock. And so we'll have a presentation for you, we'll have lunch, and then we'll have a Q&A session. And I'm finding that each month it's growing larger and larger. And we're actually having a lot of people that are associated with the real estate industry that's coming out to network with the investors. We've got real estate agents, lenders, attorneys. I think I had a couple of inspectors last month. So it's just a great way to come out and learn about the auction process so that you're ready to come out and bid the next month or the following month. So you'll know what to expect on auction day.
And I like that there's going to be those real estate professionals there. And she said private money lenders. So those are the types of people that can finance houses that are at these foreclosure sales. So, figuring out how those numbers work, it sounds really scary at first. Oh, hard money. It's like really high interest, 12%, 10%, 14%. But remember, short-term financing. You use it for a couple of months, you pay a couple $1,000 basically, for it's less than that even. It's probably $1,000 per 100,000 that you borrow that you'll pay every month. But you pay a couple $1,000s over 3 or 4 months to leverage that money, and you can buy properties at these sales because a bank can't loan on it. There's no interior inspection. These are foreclosures. This is the point when a homeowner loses their home and it's foreclosed on at that sale. When auction.com says sold or auction.com says reverted to beneficiary, that is the legal point of foreclosure. And so someone has lost that house and it either reverts to the beneficiary at the bank or it sells to an investor like you. And knowing how to have the capital there and leverage other people's resources so that you can buy these houses, Like it's just information that you need to know. And so I like to say, go to the auction in the morning. It starts at 10, right? So show up at 9, ask some questions, like see what's going on. The auction starts at 10, stay until 11, and then walk down the street and go to this lunch and learn. Learn more about the online and the live auctions that we have. Lunch is on us, and then there's a Q&A and all that networking that can go on. And then go back to work at 1:30. Tell your boss you're taking the morning off. But these are great events, and they're put on by a team that understands how the foreclosure sales happen out on the courthouse steps and how the bank-owned properties are sold online as well. So again, it's another free service from auction.com. Like, we only get paid when we sell the houses. So the more information and the more successful you are, the more successful we'll be. And so that's why we're doing this webinar. That's why we do these lunch and learns. That's why we have trained staff out on the courthouse steps that can tell you what's going on. And we're here to help you be successful in real estate investing. We hope to see you out on the courthouse steps. Make sure you say hi to Kimberly. You'll be in Fulton, Kimberly?
I'll be in Fulton, yes.
Excellent. And happy investing. Thanks so much, everybody.